morning, Chase Oaks. Would you stand as you're able? We're here to worship together today. So let's sing this out. Here we go. They say this mountain can't be moved. They say these chains will never break. But they don't know you like we do. There is power in your name. We've heard that there is no way through. We've heard the tide will never change. But they haven't seen what you can do. There is power in your name. So much power in your name. Here we go. Move the unmovable, break the unbreakable. God, we believe. God, we believe for it. From the impossible, we'll see a miracle. God, we believe. God, we believe for it. Yeah. We know that hope is never lost. No, for there is still an empty grave. God, we believe no matter what, there is power in your name. So much power in your name. Oh, move the unmovable, break the unbreakable. God, we believe. God, we believe for it. From the impossible, we'll see a miracle. God, we believe. God, we believe for it. Yeah. You are the way when there seems to be no way. We trust in you, God, you have the final say. You are the way when there seems to be no way. Yes, you are. We trust in you, God, you have the final say. Oh, move the unmovable, break the unbreakable. God, we believe. God, we believe for it. From the impossible, we'll see a miracle. God, we believe. God, we believe for it. God, we believe. God, we believe for it. Y'all come ready for church today. We're here to sing. Well, hey, I am so glad you've joined us today. Welcome to Chase Oaks Church. My name is Wendy. I'm one of the worship leaders here. I also happen to be the director of Local Choir, this amazing group of folks behind me. You know, the heart behind Local Choir is that there is a space for everyone. A space for everyone. And so that means people who have musical backgrounds, who've done this kind of thing before. It also means people who have never sung anywhere other than in their cars. Like, there's truly a space for everyone in Local Choir. And the thing that ties us together is just simply the love of music, the joy of getting to sing together. So if that sounds like something that you might be into, if that sounds like kind of fun to you, Local Choir is always and forever open. So you can come and join us anytime you'd like. We meet monthly. We do this kind of thing often. And so I would love to get you connected. You can come find me in the hub after service, or you can visit our website. I'd love to connect you to Local Choir. So hey, let's just thank them one more time for leading us in worship today.
Well, this morning we're going to sing a couple of more songs, and these are two Chase Oaks original songs. We've been singing them all summer, and the two core themes that happen in these two songs are suffering and surrender. Suffering and surrender, which are heavy topics. And I don't know about you, but that is not a natural thing for me to want to engage in. It's not natural for me to acknowledge the hardships, the pain, the discomfort that comes in life. It's not natural for me to want to hand those things over, to let loose of my grip and let loose of control of those things and surrender them. And yet I know that when I do, I experience a fullness of the life that God wants and has for me. And a couple of things will happen when we engage in these practices that I've learned over the last couple of years of practicing these things. Number one, God will meet you right where you're at. In fact, he wants to come and meet you right there in that space. And number two, a perspective shift will happen, where our eyes will move from down into our circumstances and what's going on up to see who God is, up above our circumstances to see who God is. And it's in that space that we experience that fullness of what he wants for us. We experience hope. We experience joy. We experience strength. We are sustained. We are redeemed in that space. So that's my hope. That's my prayer as we sing these next couple of songs. And before we sing these songs collectively, I'd love for us to individually go to God in prayer. And I think for all of us, the question to be answering in this individual prayer time is, what is it that you're needing from God today? What is it that you're needing from God today? Let's take a moment to answer that question, bring it to God, and then we'll continue to sing. All of my life is a map of grace, evidence written on every page, that you've been there all along. Storms are the way that the flowers bloom, cracks are the way that the light gets through, and you've been there all along. 'Cause you finish what you start. Let's sing this out. You're enough for me. Your goodness and mercy follow me all of my days. So I praise you when I look at my life. I can't deny my God. Oh. My understanding is far too small, so I'm gonna trust that you see it all, and you're working through the night. Whoa. You've been faithful all my life. Oh, you're enough for me. Your goodness and mercy follow me all of my days. So I praise often I forget you, but I know I'm not alone. Your hope is all I cling to. No one will ever know the lows you held my hand through, the highs you've gifted me. There's no way it's enough, but I give you my all, my everything. Yeah. My all, my everything. You're enough for me. Your goodness and mercy follow me all of my days. So I praise you when I look at my life. I can't deny you're enough for me. Your goodness and mercy follow me all of my days. So I praise you when I look at my life. I can't deny my God. I can't deny, no. Yeah.
Into your hands, into your hands, all of the fixes I'm trying to force, all of the mysteries I'm desperate to solve, all of my fear dressed up like common sense, I lay it down into your hands. Trade my weakness for more of your strength. Turn my sorrow into your praise. It's all heavy, but you understand. So I lay it down into your hands, into your hands, into your hands. Dreams of the future I try to control. Shame in the past that haunts me the most. Every way that I make my own plans, I lay it down into your hands. into your hands. Trade my weakness for more of your strength. Turn my sorrow into your praise. It's all heavy, but you understand. So I lay it down into your hands. Yeah, just like David gave you all of his heart, just like Mary said, Lord, let it be done. Just like Jonah finally followed your voice, I'm all yours. Just like Moses spoke with fear in his lungs, just like Abraham, that you'll be enough. Just like saints and prophets cry out for more, I'm all yours. Oh, and I'm all yours. Oh, and I'm all yours. Father, we just thank you for being here for us, for your presence, for allowing us to just lift those burdens, those things that we've been carrying for far too long, and being able to just lay it right out to you into your hands. Thank you for being there for us and for coming and meeting us right where we're at. In Jesus' name, you guys may be seated.
Woo! Well, man, thank you, local choir and worship team, once more. Yes. How cool is that? If you guys didn't notice, we had extra cameras because you guys are being filmed. We have a couple of Chase Oaks EPs coming out this fall, and we have a filming weekend, and we don't want to tell you in advance so you don't try to do something different. I don't know, knowing that you're on camera, but hey, that is a cool thing that we get to do around here. So thank you for being here this morning, but happy September, y'all. Our first September weekend, and I feel like summer is pretty much the 100 degrees plus is kind of thing in the past, hopefully. But either way, you know what? If you are new here at Chase Oaks, I want to especially welcome you and thank you for the courage for you to come out, because the thing is, my younger daughter just went off to college, and I'm seeing things through her lenses in a whole new way, because this is her first time in her life that she's checking out new churches. She came to Chase Oaks when she was 7, so she never had to really go anywhere and check it out. This was always her home. But now looking through her lenses of trying to check out new churches, I'm like, wow, that is not an easy thing. So if you're here new, checking out Chase Oaks, thank you. And we want this place to be a place where you can call home, and that there's easy next steps you could take to feel like you belong. And so one of those easy steps is to scan the QR code on the screen or in front of your seats, but make sure you stop by the hub after the service is over, outside these doors to your left. Our awesome hub team would love to meet you, answer any questions you have, and they have a cool gift for you, so make sure you grab that, and welcome to Chase Oaks Church. All right, another way that you can all see what are the things going on at Chase Oaks and what are some next steps you could take is the new and improved, fully newly refreshed Chase Oaks app, y'all. So check this out. Our new app is pretty amazing because, I got to open it first. Okay, there it is. Because not only that, okay, let me catch my breath. Okay. Our new app has several new features. Number one, on the very top, you can take sermon notes. And in the sermon notes, it's not just a blank page, it actually has a cool outline of some of the key points already. And then not only that, it has some of the Bible passages you could take and so forth. But you could take notes there. But not only that, if you have kids in Kids Co, parents, you could scan your kids and check them in just by a quick QR code. We finally caught up to technology. That's a really good thing. Another new feature that we never had before is Chase Oaks Radio. You can listen to Chase Oaks originals and other worship songs on the fly, on demand, anytime. And every once in a while, you may hear a familiar voice say something like, "This is Chase Oaks Radio," or something like that. And so check that out, and so many more features. You guys, if you do not already have the Chase Oaks app, download it on any app store. Chase Oaks, we're the only one that runs after trees, and then you cannot miss it. Or if you already have the app, update it on your app store and check out all the new features. It's such a cool tool and a cool thing to have. But you guys, as summer is coming to a close, this past summer we had amazing things happen all over the place within Chase Oaks and outside our walls. And one of those things are, we love as a church being here for good in our community. And you guys, Plano, they do this often, but Plano in one particular incident called us, said, "Hey, can you help out an elderly disabled Planoite who's trying to sell his home, but his house is like a jungle. Like all the landscaping is just growing, all these new things that we've never seen before. It's just like this jungle. It's unsellable, and he needs help." And we said, absolutely. So we put out an APB to our Do Good team, and one gentleman stepped in and said, "You know what, I can help out after work and just chip away on it." As he was helping, a couple others joined him as well. But one of the neighbors came up to him and said, "Hey, are you guys from a church or something? Like, what are you guys doing?" It's like, "As a matter of fact, we're from Chase Oaks." And then that neighbor eventually also pitched in. After they were done cleaning up all the landscaping, being sellable ready, they also went above and beyond. Plano didn't ask us to do this, but their pool was like a cesspool swamp-like kind of thing. It wasn't touched for years. And so we partnered up with a local pool company, and they gave us a really good discount, and we were able to get that pool spick and span clean, ready to sell. And that elderly disabled gentleman was able to move in with his family because of you guys and your generosity. So thank you guys for being here for good in our community. Makes such a huge difference. And you know what? Your giving too makes such a huge difference. And if you want to give financially, you could do so on our app, on our website, or in the giving boxes in the lobby. All right, y'all. Today we are on part 4 of our Navigating Us series. And our lead pastor, Jeff Jones, will be coming up in a little bit. And what's so cool is that today we're talking about how every single one of us, whether you're a parent or not, can make a significant difference in the next generation. So let's lean in and check out our screens.
All right, good morning, everybody. And everybody here at Legacy, as well as Woodbridge and Sloan Creek and online and however else you're doing this, driving down the road this week, listening to the podcast. Today, we are continuing this series called Navigating Us, which is about the key relationships in our life, especially the key bonding relationships in life. Next week, we're going to talk about a kind of relationship that every one of us desperately need to flourish in life, but almost all of us will not do it. You can't, if you follow Jesus, it's one of the things that he did that made him remarkable, but it's important. It's important for us. It's important for our community. It's important for our families. It's important for our character, and we probably need to push ourselves a little bit on this one, and so don't miss next week. But this week, we're talking about a key bonding relationship, and that is bonding relationships with the next generation, how we engage the next generation, however we do. If you're parents, that should be easy. You've got kids, so think about your kids. If you are grandparents, though, or aunts or uncles, or even close family friends, I want you to think about somebody, you could be an older sibling too, but who is younger than you, especially a kid or teenager or college student, because we're talking about, man, what does it mean to relate in a way that helps others flourish in life in a way that I think we all want to do that. And I want to thank you as a church before I really dive in, because I'm a parent of 2 sons that are now adults, and they love this place. And as a pastor, I don't want to take for granted raising pastors' kids that love our church and that talk to people, even though they're in other states, about our church and encourage you got to go, and they had a great experience growing up in this church, and you helped shape who they are, and I really thank you for that. In fact, many of you poured into their lives through Kids Co. and youth ministry and other things, and some of you still do. My kids will call on Chase Oakers multiple times a month and have conversations and have interactions, and man, thank you. And that's what we want, right? I mean, it takes that. And so I want all of us to think about somebody in the next generation like that God has put in our life. And of course, for those who are parents, well, we really want to get this right with our kids. Like I've met a lot of parents, because we all feel this way from time to time, who may feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm the best parent, or I wish I was a better parent. But I've never met a parent that didn't care. Now, I'm sure those exist. I just haven't met them. I haven't met somebody who said, they're stinky and they're noisy, and I don't really, I just wish they'd go away, and I don't really care what happens to them. I mean, the people that I interact with, you are people who really do want to get that right, and who want to do all we can to set up our kids to flourish in life. And for those of us who are Jesus followers, give the best opportunity also for them to maybe choose relationship with God and to grow in that and to serve his purposes. And we can't control all that as they get older, but what can you and I do to help make it possible that they're more likely to do that than not, and no matter what, become the kind of people that we really hope they become? And yet that's not easy. I mean, in this world, it is scary to think about how do we raise kids and influence kids. And I mean, I remember when when Colin, he was our first, brought him home from the hospital, and I remember having this little freak out moment that first night. I mean, I love this little kid instantly, but he, from about 1 in the morning till 5 in the morning, just crying. And there's no manual. There's no what do you do? And I'm looking for the on-off button or the battery compartment. You could take out the batteries, and it wasn't there. And it doesn't get easier as they get older. Sometimes it gets even trickier. And you think, man, I just want to know the formula. I want to know, and that doesn't exist. Parenting and however we influence children is more of an art than a science. But what we do have, and that's what we're going to focus on today, is we have a guide. I mean, God has given us wisdom, and we're going to look at that wisdom right here in his word, the Bible. But he's also a model, because even though there are no perfect parents, there is one perfect father, and that is God. And what does it mean to look at, what if we parented, or however we influence kids, what if we parented the way God parents? What would that look like? So that's what we're going to talk about. And what we're going to see is there's a few things that God provides that every child needs, and we can learn from him how to provide it. And the first one is belief. That every one of us, we know that. We need people who believe in us. Kids desperately need people to believe in. Teenagers, young adults, we all need it, but we need a foundation to launch us into the future, is a foundation of belief. Not just in what we do or how well we behave, but belief in who we are and in the security of that relationship. And that's the way God parents us. I mean, those of us who have a relationship with Jesus, he becomes our father. We're adopted into his family, and he believes in you. He is for you. Of course, he wants you to make good decisions, and that's going to go well in life, and he'll celebrate that. But he just celebrates you for you. We're going to look at that more. In fact, we see it also in the way God parents Jesus. So in the Trinity, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Because you've got the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, 3 in 1. So you have God the Father, Jesus is God the Son. And I think at least it's easy for me to think, well, Jesus doesn't really need anything from God the Father because he's God. I mean, like, he's good. But in relationship, it doesn't seem to work that way. When you look in the Bible at their relationship, that no, this is a relationship that really matters. In that, yes, Jesus and God the Father have this unique father-son relationship, and we can learn a lot about fathering, even looking at that. And there's this one story that is a powerful story at the very beginning of Jesus' ministry, before he's actually started it, and we see the Father speaking words of belief. It's at the baptism of Jesus. That's how he launches his ministry. So he's 30 years old, Jesus is. He's starting his ministry. And it says, and we read in Mark, in every one of the Gospels, the books about Jesus' life has this story. At the time, Jesus came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan River. Just as Jesus was coming up out of the water, he saw heaven being torn open and the Spirit descending on him, the Holy Spirit. So you've got the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Spirit descending on him like a dove. And a voice came from heaven. That's God the Father. You are my Son, whom I love. With you, I am well pleased. So shouting down from heaven, or at least talking down from heaven, Jesus hears the Father say, you are my Son. I love you. With you, I am well pleased. Why? Because he needed to hear it. That in relationship with God the Father, this was a deeply significant and deeply meaningful moment that I believe he would look on throughout the rest of his earthly ministry. But the most remarkable thing about it is this: Jesus hasn't done anything yet. God is saying, I am pleased with you, I am proud of you, and Jesus has yet to even begin his ministry. Jesus hasn't taught one person. He hasn't done one miracle. He has yet to die on the cross for the sins of the world. I mean, you might think this would happen at the end, like after the resurrection, God would shout down from heaven, wow, I am finally proud of you. You've made something of yourself. Look at all you've done. You've died on the cross for the sins of the world. You've suffered for people in a way that is beautiful. You've done miracles. You've shown what God is like. You've done all these things, and now I am proud of you. But this is before he's done anything, which means that that his belief in him is not just about how well he behaves or how well he performs or what he does. His belief in him is based in relationship with him, who he is, even more than what he does. That God's pleasure in him, I'll just read it as a quote, is not the result of his performance, but the foundation for it. This is one more picture of the gospel, the good news of Christianity, that we are loved before we obey, as opposed to religion, where we're loved if we obey, or we obey in order to be loved. And then one of the things our children desperately need for us is essentially what God provides for us too in the gospel, and that is his pleasure, regardless of our performance. It's not just I love you when you're good. I love you and I believe in you, which isn't, so we're not trying to earn something. We actually already have it that gives us the freedom to live within that. When I think of that, it's one thing my parents did really well. My mom and dad, and my mom will be here at 11, so it'll be good to honor her for that publicly, but I have never for 1 second wondered if there are people who believe in me. I have felt believed in every second of my life. And I'm so thankful for that. What a gift. And here's just one story of that. So when I think of it, and if you hang around for 10 years or more, you'll probably hear this story again. I'm going to tell 2 stories like that today. But and I was in elementary school in 5th grade, about halfway through the first semester. So the elementary school that I went to was one that was a private school known for its academic rigor. And the way they did it is you took these tests in kindergarten, and that kind of set where you were going to be. And there were 5 different groups based on academic ability as you went through, and then they retested in 5th grade. So I was in one of the lower groups in elementary school, and then we took these tests in 5th grade, and I must have eating Wheaties or something that morning of the test, and they moved me from the lower group to the very highest group academically. And halfway through that semester, and they've been doing this for years together, right? And it was very different, especially in math. Because in math, they were starting in 5th grade, Algebra 1. Now, my rule, and it still is, I think should be a rule, is that letters belong in English and numbers belong in math, right? Isn't that the way the world is supposed to work? And that's the way the world had always worked until I get in this new 5th grade thing. And there's letters in there and math. And I'm thinking, this is messed up. What are they doing here? And I didn't understand. And, I'm trying to figure it out. And then there's a test. And I remember feeling so lost trying to take this test, figuring out, okay, what do I do with these letters in math? And doing the best I can. And I remember getting the grade. I like to make good grades. And I remember, I still kind of remember what it looked like. Big red marker, 37, which is not a good grade if you're wondering. And 37. And I remember just thinking, oh, no. So I get home from school, call my dad. I'm at home, call him at work. And my dad always answered the phone the same way. Even when I was, 50 years old, it was the same. What I would always hear would be like, Jeff, I'm so glad you called. What's going on? Every time. I wish I could hear it now. And he's, Jeff, what's going on? And I was like, well, Dad, this isn't good. I've got something bad happened I need to tell you about. He's like, something bad happened? Well, tell me. And I said, well, I'm in that new class in math, and I got my first test back, and it's a 37. And my dad said, you got a 37? It's amazing. Tonight, we're gonna celebrate the 37. That's the best 37 I've ever heard about. I'm like, Dad, did you hear it? 37, and he said, yeah. Jeff, I would be proud of you. It doesn't matter what you make. But the fact that you chose to, you had some choice in it. The fact that you chose to get into this thing and doing the best you can, that's amazing that you made that choice. And you're already, this soon, 37% of the way to figuring it out. That's incredible. So we're gonna have a party, and we're gonna celebrate the 37. And I still remember that, right? And that celebrating the 37 didn't demotivate me. It's not like I thought, well, I guess all I got to get is 37 or below, or above. I don't have to worry about it. I'm fine. That's not, What it did for me is give me the courage and the self-confidence and the belief to say, okay, I can figure this out. I can do this. And I did. And that's what I mean. That kind of belief provides a foundation for us to be able to flourish in life. And we all need people who believe in us for us. Think about what God said to Jesus, because every one of the kids in our life that we're thinking about, and I hope you can think about a kid or a young adult or somebody that you can speak a word of belief, that you could write a note to or give a phone call to or talk to this week. But just think about what God said. He said, you are my son, whom I love, and whom I am well pleased. When he said you or this is my son, that's another way of saying you're mine, meaning you matter to me. If it's a kid, you're my son, you're my daughter, and I am so lucky. I am so thankful that I get to be your mom, or I get to be your dad, or I get to be your grandma, however you relate. If there's some other way you relate, that you're not just another person. You're unique, and you're special to me, and you matter to me, and you always will, and I hope you know that. When he says, beloved, it's another way to say I love you. Not just I love you if, I just love you, period. Nothing can change that. And he says, in whom I am well pleased, another way to say I'm proud of you. Again, not so much because of what you've done, although, hey, that's fine to celebrate what people do. But this is before he's done anything. I'm just proud of you. And this week, let me encourage you to make a phone call, to write a note. If you've got kids at home, have a conversation, and just express these kind of words of belief. And honestly, they may be up on a platform one day, 30 years later, it'll tell the story. And even if you've got teenagers that'll act like it doesn't matter, because if they're 7th grade or above, they're gonna act like it doesn't matter. But it will. So in addition to words of belief, honestly, if we just stop there, that'd be a lot. But also instruction God provides in his fathering or mentoring or training, right? Because none of us come into this world knowing how to live life. Life is hard. Life is complicated, especially in a broken, fallen world. And none of us can manage life on our own. We all need wisdom. We all need instruction. We all need help that we can't get on our own. I mean, that's why when you go to the hospital and deliver the baby, you don't just go home without the baby. You know, you go home with the baby. You don't just put the baby out on the street and say, well, good luck. You know, you got a good start. You're cute. That'll help. And, you know, keep in touch because they won't survive, right? They're not equipped for life. But that's not just true when they're, you know, a few days old. That's true when they're a few years old and when they're 12 years old. And when, you know, they need, over time, wisdom, and they need development. And how that'll happen is through people like you who are in their life. And that's what God does for us. God has not left us in the dark as our Father. He's given us his wisdom to make life work in this broken, fallen world. And in fact, he wants you and me to pass that wisdom on to the kids in our life. And how do we do that? And let me say, I believe, and we're going to look at a passage where he tells us, hey, this is how I want you to do that. But I believe it's more important than ever in our culture that we really pay attention to this, because there was a time in our culture where, and take spirituality out, just general like character things and that kind of stuff. You could expect multiple places, whether it was school or just different teams or whatever, in culture and media even and everything, that you could sort of know that in addition to what you're doing at home, that kids would be taught things like be honest, be kind, be polite, work hard, take responsibility when you make mistakes. We don't have that anymore. Like, that's disappearing in our culture. And so if they don't learn it from us in the church, if they don't learn it from us in our families, if they don't learn it from you, they're not going to learn it. And how do they learn it? Certainly, and add to that things like what it means to know God and grow a relationship with him. And so here's what God says. This was 3,000 years ago. He's talking to his people in Deuteronomy, and it's just as applicable 3,000 years later. He says this, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." He's saying first, man, make sure that you love God fully and in a contagious way that can be passed on. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Now, we'll go on with the passage, but I'm going to stop there because this is the most important part of passing on wisdom, and that is you taking it on yourself. Because you and I can't pass on to our kids or grandkids or whatever. We can't pass it on unless we have it. In fact, you know, most important things will be caught way more than taught, and that what we say is important, but what they see is even more important, because you and I are teaching right now, whether we realize it or not, by modeling. I mean, I talked about all those character things. You and I are teaching our kids and kids in our life right now. We're teaching them what's valuable, what's important. We're teaching them how to navigate decision making. We're teaching them how to be people of character or not, how to be honest or not, how to be hardworking or not, how to be humble or not, how to, you know, as well as all the Christian stuff, what it means to know God, what it means to prioritize him, what it means to serve his purposes in the world. I mean, they are watching everything and learning from that. And if that freaks you out, it should, because it freaks me out. because that's the way kids learn. And the good news is we don't have to be perfect. We're not modeling what it means to be perfect. In fact, it's really important to be not hypocritical and to be authentic and to say, look, I just blew it. To model what it means to be an imperfect person in this world who wants to serve God's purposes and know God. And they're learning that from you. And so if you want them to pursue God, then pursue God. And when you do things like what you're doing right now, I mean, you're at church or you're watching online, you're shouting something to them. Hey, this is important. When you choose to get in a group, when you choose to serve in some way, when you choose to give and you talk about it as a family, talk about finances. To say, hey, look, this is God's money and we want to enjoy it, but we also want to manage it really well. And we want to be generous with it. And here's how we do it as a family. I mean, all that they are learning by modeling. That said, what you and I say is still important. I mean, they'll learn more by what they see than what we say, but what we say is still significant, and we need to be intentional about it. And so he goes on in Deuteronomy, and he says, yes, impress these on your children. I mean, first make sure they're on your heart, but then impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands and bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates. This is 3,000 years ago. He's just saying every way possible, every time you can, talk about things that matter. Have meaningful conversations. Talk about God. Talk about life. Talk about character. Debrief the day. Have a conversation. I think if he was writing this now, this was 3,000 years ago, I think he would add now, get off your phone. Like, put them aside for a few minutes and just have a conversation. And I'm not picking on other people. He would say that to me. Like, just put your phone away for a little bit and just have a meal together. Turn off the TV. Have a meal and have a conversation. Or as you're driving down the road, make that intentional. And give a what do you call it, icebreaker kind of conversation and give a question and just see where that goes, or debrief their day and pull things out, or have some things that you want to talk about. I know one thing that you can do, I mean, you're here at church, is if your kids are here with you, just say, hey, what's one thing that you took away from today? I had a sixth grader come up to me after Friday night, and I said, hey, you remember when I said that? I want you to walk around for about 10 minutes and then come back, and I want to know what one thing you took away from this tonight. And he did. And we had a great, I hardly know the guy, but we had a great little conversation. And your kids at KidsCo, I mean, they're good. I mean, they're very intentional about what they're talking about. And you'll learn a lot about the Bible if you just ask your kid, hey, what did y'all talk about? I didn't know that. Tell me more about that. And you'll have this incredible conversation. And on the technology thing, I do a Rebranding Christianity podcast. We're taking a break, but we're going to unbreak for 1 week because I just did this interview with a guy whose focus is on digital distraction and he's not anti-phone or anti-digital stuff, but it was just he's very positive, but it's a great conversation about how to manage that. And even how to manage that with our kids, and when should kids get cell phones, and if they do, then how, and all of this. And let me encourage you it'll come out in about a week, and let me encourage you to look, it's Rebranding Christianity. Sign up, subscribe to the podcast, and watch. It'll be the latest episode, and it's super helpful. And for him, you'll hear it in his story, how he got so into this is he was at his kid's soccer game his kid had never scored a goal in soccer, only kid on the team that hadn't scored a goal yet. He was like 6 years old. And all of a sudden, so he's on the phone. He's at the game, the dad, but he's on his phone scrolling. And he hears the crowd erupt. He keeps scrolling just to look up to see his kid look at him not paying attention because his kid had just scored his first goal and he missed it. And he's like, man, how much am I missing? And so anyway, it's just great. I mean, what he prescribes and all that is really, really helpful. Because our kids need us And however they are in your life, like I said, there are Chase Oakers who are not parents of my kids who still are passing on wisdom to my kids to this day. And it matters. And so be intentional about it, both by what you model and by what you say. And then the third thing is discipline. So we've talked about belief and instruction, discipline. Now, discipline's tricky. You know, this is really for parents. Like, if you're a neighbor, you probably shouldn't try to discipline your neighbor's kids unless you get permission and they, you know, and all that. Even then, it's tricky. Now, what we learn about God, because God disciplines us if we're his children, if you're a Christian, this is going to still apply to you, even if you don't have kids or not interested in having kids. But for those of us who are parents, this is something we want to get right because discipline is so easy to get wrong. And we can learn from how God disciplines us because he does. I mean, God the Father loves us unconditionally, no matter what. But that doesn't mean he's like, then I don't really care what you do. Do whatever you want. No, that's not a good father either. Good father will have boundaries. And there's boundaries and consequences, right? Because he wants what's best for us. And there are things that have happened. If you know Jesus, if you have a relationship with God through faith in Jesus, and you've walked with him a little bit, when God will not just let us go down a destructive pathway forever and not intervene. He'll give us a long rope. But at some point, he'll be like, yeah, that's enough. And if you've lived life long enough as a Christian, you probably can think of times in your life you thought, yeah, I think I remember one of those times. And it sure got my attention, and I'm sure thankful for it. It wasn't easy, but I'm glad it happened. That's God's discipline. Hebrews 12, the writer to the Hebrews, because we don't know who wrote it, said this. And if you've completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son, it says, my son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you're not disciplined and everyone undergoes discipline, then you're not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined for us and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who've been trained by it. There's a lot we can learn from discipline right there, but I'm going to focus on two key phrases that really give us the whole tenor and tone and motivation. He says the Lord disciplines the one he loves, so it's about love, and God disciplines us for our good so that we can be trained by it and flourish in life. So discipline, good discipline, is not about us. It's not about me showing my kid who's boss. It's not about me getting even with my kid or getting rid of my frustration. Kids drive me crazy. I'm going to show her. I'm going to show him. It's not that. The good discipline is done in love, meaning we don't demean, we don't belittle, we're not unkind. We don't have to yell. We don't have to do all that. It's done in love and for their best interest, for their good. Good discipline is a powerful thing because good discipline has the opportunity actually to grow the relationship. Bad discipline will disconnect the relationship unnecessarily. One person I heard say it is rules without relationship produces rebellion. That there's a place for rules, but rules without relationship produces rebellion. Relationship is what matters, even in discipline. Like it is a relational thing where you're saying, okay, how can we go through this in a way where I'm going to set a boundary, or there's just consequence sometimes. There's going to be a consequence, but how can I do that in a way that has at least an opportunity to grow, not shrink the relationship? And that's what good discipline does. So good discipline has clear boundaries and clear consequences. It's not arbitrary. It's consistent. It's not, you never know what's going to happen. Good discipline fits the crime. And it is a crime. It's not a crime to be a kid. It's not a crime to be impulsive. It's not a crime to be loud. It's not a crime to be fidgety. It's not a crime to, have little attention span. And it fits the crime. It's not like crazy and, because the point is just to provide enough to be like, hey, there are consequences to things. We're not going to keep going down that way. And good discipline always moves toward the child or teenager or whatever, moves toward them, even walking with them as God does through consequences, not like, oh man, not move away, get away from me. No, it's actually you move toward. Let me give an example of that, because that's a lot of words, and let me give a couple of examples. One of those is from my growing up. It's one of those stories. I said there'd be two stories like that. This was when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and we were hosting a family reunion at our house. My parents were hosting, which was my dad's side of the family, and that means my cousins were there that I never got to see, and that was fun. But the real highlight for me was, this is 4th of July, is at the end, after dinner, they were making homemade ice cream. And 2 different kinds. Peach, which I'm not interested in. I think peaches were not in the original Garden of Eden, if you're familiar with that. Like, I think that came after the weeds and all that stuff that wasn't supposed to be there. And to put peach in ice cream is a terrible thing to do to ice cream. I don't understand it. And so that would be totally not interesting to me. But they also were making chocolate chip ice cream, which, okay, now you got my attention, right? So, man, I was looking, as a 6-year-old kid, I just couldn't wait for this homemade chocolate chip ice cream. And I remember, this is just one of my most vivid childhood memories, because I don't remember what I did, but I know I did it. So I did something, and my parents said, and I knew I wasn't supposed to, but my parents said, look, if you do that again, you'll be sent to your room for the night and no ice cream. And guess what? I did it again. And my parents were consistent, which was good for them. And they sent me to my room, no ice cream. And I remember, this is where it gets really vivid. I remember sitting on my bed in my room, feeling sorry for myself. And about, 10, 20 minutes later, there was a knock at the door, and my dad comes in with 2 bowls of ice cream. Not peach, that'd be a abuse story. That'd be a terrible story. It was chocolate chip. And he sits down next to me with his bowl and my bowl. And I don't remember the conversation, of course, but knowing my dad and growing up with him, I'm sure he probably spent just a minute talking about what happened, the thing. And he said, okay, so you know why you were sent to your room, right? And he would have asked me, why do you think that matters? Just so I could start to own it. And he said, I love you, and you just don't want to become the kind of person that does that kind of thing. And so, we would have had a little conversation about it. And then that would have been it. And then it's gone, right? And then for about 10 minutes, this is what I remember, we just had a conversation. Connection over our bowls of ice cream. Then he helped me get ready for bed. I still didn't get to go out and play with my cousins. Still a consequence. And I remember going to bed, but honestly going to bed happy. And as he walked out of the room, and I still remember that 50 years later. And why? Because it was a deeply connective moment that could have easily gone the opposite way. And that's what good discipline can do. It moves, and that's what God does with us. He moves toward us in our sin. Some of you think God is not interested in you because of your sin. No, he's compassionate. Sin's terrible. He wants to move towards you, to move away from it, and to help you do that. Let me give you one more example, is just older. And this is from our parenting. And this is actually a good moment. We had some bad discipline stories. This is actually a good one. And the reason I'm saying it, I usually don't tell good stories about us, and I had a Chase Oker say, hey, every now and then, would you say, you always talk about how you screw up. Would you, every now and then, say something you did right? Because it'd be good to know that our pastor occasionally actually does something good. So here's one that is like that. So I was, Caleb, our youngest son, we came home one day, and he's like, Mom, Dad, I got something to tell you. I was like, well, what? And he said, I broke the microwave. which I'm thankful he said, I broke the microwave. He didn't just say, well, the microwave broke. And I was like, okay, well, what happened? And he said, well, I was doing an experiment. I wanted to know what it would be like if I put in a big chunk of metal, and he did something with the door too. And I said, well, what'd you find out? He said, well, it exploded and the microwave won't work. And it wasn't just the fuse. And he knew enough to check that. And I was like, okay. So I said, obviously, you think you would have done that if we were here? He's like, oh, no, I wouldn't have tried that if you were here. And I'm like, so it's like not the best choice you could have made. Yeah, it was dumb. And I'm like, I get it. I mean, it's interesting. And I said, so what do you think should happen from here? And he said, well, I think I should fix the microwave or get a new microwave. Yeah, that makes sense. So I remember us going out that afternoon to Lowe's, picking out a microwave together. I don't know what he'd been saving money for, not a microwave, but he bought a microwave. And I look at that microwave every day and think of that moment, think of that son, think of my son. And it was actually, in the big scheme of things, this connective moment. Even though there was a consequence, and you got to learn responsibility, and you got to teach responsibility, and not, all that. So there's a lot there with discipline, and let me encourage you to, if you're a parent especially, there's a book called Grace-Based Parenting by Tim Kimmel that does a really great job of saying, hey, how do we both have boundaries and truth, but also grace, called Grace-Based Parenting. It's really good. Because when you put all this together, what does God provide for us as a father? Well, a lot of things, but belief. So I want you to think about a kid in your life. What would it look like for you to communicate belief in them? To say, I believe in you, I love you, no matter what. This week. Instruction. As we pass on wisdom to our kids, what are you modeling that you probably need to unravel or just be really honest about? To say, I've modeled some things for you about how to treat your mom or how to treat your dad that isn't cool. It's not right. It's not who I want to be. And let's talk about it. Or whatever it is, right? Maybe it's that comfort. Or maybe it's just saying, I'm going to double down on something good and model. Or how can we be more intentional about some conversations? And then discipline, what needs to change there? And the good news is for those who are parents, God is your parent. And he's never used a perfect mom or a perfect dad because he's the only one. He loves using imperfect people, and he has lots of patience and all that for you too. He believes in you. He will give you wisdom and all. So all that we're looking at in terms of the kind of parent that we want to be is he's that kind of parent for you if you have a relationship with God. And that's the way I want to close. We're about to go to God in prayer and think about somebody in the next generation. But I also want you to have the opportunity to understand that God really does want to be your dad. And dad is the key word. That's what Jesus said. When Jesus came and he said, and this was new, this is one of the things that Jesus came to bring is a relationship where we're pulled into the family. We've got God the Father, God the Son, where we're pulled in to be a son or daughter too. And in a way that wasn't true in the Old Testament. As individuals, that we're adopted as his children. And Jesus said that when you pray, this is new, when you pray, you start out and you say Abba, which is their word for dad or daddy. It's not some big exalted, it's just like, hey, dad. Now that would have been like blasphemy, okay? 2,000 years ago when Jesus said that. But that's the kind of relationship God wants with us. In Ephesians, when he talks about how he adopts us as his children, it's not just this loose thing of, hey, anybody who wants, you're kind of smelly and disgusting, but I'm going to hold my nose, come on in. No. It actually is combined with another doctrine, adoption, with being chosen, that God has chosen you. Now, it's true, it's every single human, but he has chosen you. He knows you. He loves you. He's thought about you. He wants to adopt you as his daughter. He wants to adopt you as his son. He wants you to be in his family forever. But in this case, you can say no. I don't want that. I want to be on my own. You can say that. I don't know why you would, but you can. Or maybe today would be the opportunity to say, it's another way to talk about beginning a relationship with God, to say, yeah, I want in. I want to be your daughter. I want to be your son. I want to be in the family. I want to know you forever. And so with that, let's bow our heads together. And this may be your moment to say that to God. God, you want me in the family. You want to adopt me as your daughter. You want to adopt me as your son, as your child. I'm in. And help me learn to trust you as a good father, whether you had a good one or not. And Father, for all of us, God, just for those who are parents, God, I pray you'd encourage them. Parenting is hard. And it's an imperfect art. And I pray that you'd encourage them with your grace for them, but also your enablement. God, give them wisdom, even this week, to know how to communicate belief, wisdom, discipline, and however we relate to a kid, whoever we're thinking about, God, would you help us this week to take some positive step that could be a boost for them and an encouragement for them. God, we thank you how you're always thinking that way about us as your children. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, I read a quote several years ago that really stuck with me about parenting, and I'm going to read it if that's all right, because I don't want to mess it up. And it says, parenting really is a crash course in theology. You have someone made in your image who you love so desperately you can hardly stand it. But half the time they're convinced you're trying to make them miserable when everything you're doing is actually for their ultimate good. And I just love that because it points to the fact that parenting, for those of us that are parents in the room, it's such an opportunity for spiritual growth, as Jeff just laid out for us. So thank you for that message, Jeff. And we're going to go to God in a time of worship as we respond to Jeff's message. And the truth is that we believe in a God who so desperately loves us and wants relationship with us. And that's what we're going to sing about as we respond in worship. So if you'll stand with me as we sing. Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. 'Cause you have been so, so kind. Let's sing this out. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Your foe, still your love fought for me. Sing, you have been so, so good to me. Hey, when I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. Yeah. And you have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the
no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No, there's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. No, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
Being a new empty nester, my wife and I appreciate even more how much you all, at Kids Co. all the way through student ministry, have really believed in my daughters, have really spoke wisdom to my daughters, and really loved on them. And I'm entrusting the new communities that they're involved in to do more of that same. And so thank you guys so much. Thank you, Jeff, for reminding us and encouraging us that, hey, we all can make a difference in the younger lives around us. Hey, if you need prayer, our loving care team will be along this wall. Would love to pray for you. If you're new, you have any questions about taking next steps, come on out to the hub. Jeff is hanging out here in the front if you want to say hi. Otherwise, God bless you guys. Enjoy the weather. We'll see you next time.